Hello everybody, and welcome to Thrive Homes webinar launch of the Brambles in Leighton Buzzard. Thank you all for joining. My name's Karen Kaur. I'm the Assistant Sales Director here at Thrive Homes. We know there's been a bit of a wait to find out more about this brand new development. Unfortunately, there have been sector-wide delays in construction, which has meant we weren't able to launch this exciting new development as early as we had initially planned. But we would like to thank you for your patience and do believe it will be worth the wait. Please note that today's session will be recorded. You can switch your cameras off if you feel more comfortable. However, all participants are already muted, so there isn't any chance of you switching yourself off being muted. Okay, so I'm just going to share a short intro video to the Brambles whilst we allow some time for others to join who may be a little bit late. So hopefully you've all had a chance to look through the Brambles brochure. So today's session is an opportunity to find out more about the development in detail and what the next steps are to apply. So this evening we'll be covering the following. We'll be looking over the development as a whole, just running through how shared ownership works. And the most important thing that I think everyone's been waiting for are the prices of the units and the estimated cost that it could potentially be for you. The application process. We'll look at the potential move-in dates for you as well. We'll just cover what the service charges cover. We'll run through what happens after you move in and what it is to be a shared owner. And then there will be an opportunity for questions. What we ask is, there are quite a lot of you joining us today, so there is a chat facility on Zoom. What we ask is for you all to put any questions that you've got in the chat facility. And at the end of the session, if we do, time dependent, if we do have time, we'll pick some key questions out that we haven't covered in today's presentation, and we'll run through those. But what we will be doing is taking all of those questions from the chat facility, popping them into a Word document, doing an FAQs, and that will be posted on the website. So if your question isn't answered in today's presentation, don't worry, it will be answered in the FAQs and it will be popped on the website. Okay, so before we begin, I'd like to introduce our appointed agents, the Shared Ownership Shop. So we've got Michaela and Dave. They'll be working closely with those of you who wish to apply, and they'll walk you through the application process later on. This is where technology might fail me, but I'm hoping you can see them and you might be able to hear them. Yeah.
Hello.
Hi, yeah, I'm Dave. Hi.
So there's Dave and Michaela. We've also got Anita, who is part of the sales team at Thrive, and she'll be working alongside the Shared Ownership Shop to approve applications and assist in making your new home purchase process as smooth as possible. Hello, good evening all. Fantastic, so it's working, hopefully. Okay, so just moving on. I'm sure many of you have done your own research and know the Brambles is set amongst a range of new developments in Leighton Buzzard, but it does stand out due to its uniqueness in design and size. It's conveniently set from the main road and is made up of only 42 homes in total, with 31 of those homes being available for shared ownership. The development size will allow it to have a real community feel, with lots of open space, greenery, including a large water feature, pond area. And further development of the area will bring along more local amenities, providing shops and facilities within walking distance over time as the area develops. So the scheme is made up of 9 2-bedroom houses, the Laurels. We've then got 6 3-bedroom houses available for shared ownership, the Hawthorn and the Maple. There's 2 different types. They just differ slightly in terms of the kitchen layouts. We've then got four-bedroom houses, the Birch and the Cedar. They're two entirely different layouts. You've got one that's double fronted and one that's single fronted. These are very unique. Not many 4-bedrooms become available for shared ownership, and especially not of this size. They're roughly over 190 square meters each. We then have Sycamore House, which is a lovely block of 12 apartments near the entrance of the development. And that block consists of 8 2-bedroom apartments across the ground floor and the first floor. And it also has 4 1-bedroom apartments on the second floor. And these units have some amazing views across the area. They're really lovely, unique units. Excuse me. The houses come with 2 parking spaces each, and the apartments have 1 allocated space as well in the communal parking area there. There's also some visitor parking available, available on the development throughout. Just moving on to the specification, there is a detailed specification in the brochure, but just going to share some of the main areas that make our units stand out from the rest. Got contemporary handleless kitchens, integrated appliances in those kitchens. So that's a washing machine, fridge freezer even, dishwasher, oven hob and extractor fan. There's fitted wardrobes in the main bedrooms. You've also got turf to all the gardens, and you've got sheds for extra storage as well. Each home has outdoor space, so that's either a garden or our apartments all have their own balconies as well, which is really important at the moment. All homes have EV charging provisions available as well. So just moving on to how shared ownership works. So residents own a share of the property, generally funded by a mortgage or sometimes cash, and they pay a rent on the remaining share. So this is what makes shared ownership more accessible to buyers. The minimum deposit required is based on the share and not the whole property value. But please be mindful, some applicants' affordability or credit status may mean that they're required to put down a higher deposit, but this is still only based on the share and is much lower than the deposit that's needed on the open market. The rent that you pay is paid on the unsold equity, so that's the share that you don't own, and that's calculated at 2.75%. On the 4-bedroom houses, it's calculated at 2.5%, and rents will increase annually by 0.5% plus RPI. Shares are available initially from 30% up to a maximum of 75% in the first sale. You do then have the option to buy further shares at the Bramble up to 100%. And you can do that as and when, or if you choose to. So it doesn't mean that you have to do it, but the option is there. As I said, the assumptions are made on a minimum deposit, and it is all subject to applicants' own affordability. And where applicants are able to afford a higher share than 30%, they are encouraged to do so. And that's what the affordability assessment will check to see what your affordability is. Now, to be eligible for shared ownership, you must earn under £80,000 as a household, not own a current home. So applicants who are in the process of selling a home, they can apply, but you will need to provide proof of the sale. So that's the MOS, memorandum of sale, or the reservation form from your estate agent. At the time of selling, you must simultaneously complete, if you haven't completed on your existing sale for that. Basically, you cannot own 2 homes at the same time. You're required to complete an affordability assessment and meet the government financial criteria. You must not be able to afford the same property type on the open market. And all new shared ownership homes are sold on a leasehold basis with a minimum 990-year lease, and that's with Thrive. And the new homes benefit from £500 per year towards repairs in the first 10 years of ownership. Now, restrictions do apply as to what is classed as an eligible repair, and further details of this is available in the key information documents. Now, they are all on the website now, and they'll be provided to you as well on reservation for you to read through. So just moving on to pricing and examples, and I'm sure this is a bit that everyone's been waiting for, quite excited to see. So we'll share the full market values of the homes being sold and provide examples of costs for shares at 30% with a 5% mortgage deposit. And we'll just, as an example, provide these for all the lowest value property types. So to begin with, we've got the Laurel, which is the 2-bedroom houses. The full market values range from 345,000 to 355,000. These units are quite large. They're roughly around about 80 square meters, which is larger than your general 2-bedroom houses. As you can see, you've got sort of the open plan kitchen lounge with sort of a dining area as well. So just moving on to what this could cost you. So at a full market value of 345,000, 30% share would be 103,500, and that's what your mortgage would be based on. And a minimum deposit of 5% would be £5,175. So your monthly cost could be, you'd have a monthly service charge of £48. The rent calculated at 2.75% of the 70% share that you don't own would be £553. And then the mortgage payments based on a 6% interest rate over 30 years would be £560, making the total monthly cost just over £1,100 for the 2-bedroom houses. And also, obviously, these are just the main housing costs. You'd be responsible for all your additional costs, such as council tax, utility bills, and things like that. Okay, then we have the 3-bedroom houses. As I said, we've got 2 types: the Maple, which start at 420,000, and then the Hawthorn, which range between 425 and 435,000. So they're 2 different types of 3-bedroom houses. And the full market values start at £420,000. A share of 30% would be 126,000, and a 5% deposit would be 6,000. So your monthly costs for a 3-bedroom house at the Brambles could roughly set you back £1,400. So we will be sharing and adding the price list for all homes individually with a full breakdown of the potential costs to the website after today. So don't worry if you don't need to write down all these costs here. There will be a full breakdown that will be put on the website by tomorrow morning. And as I said, this is just an example of the lowest value property type here. Then we've got the 4 4-bedroom houses. All 4 units are 635,000, although they are 2 different house types. So as I said, you've got your single fronted, and then you've got your double fronted 4-bedroom house. At 635,000, a minimum 30% share would set you back 190,500, with a 5% deposit at £10,000. As I mentioned, if you could afford a higher share of the property, you are encouraged to purchase that, and that would be based on your affordability, and that would mean that your deposit would also go up, as your deposit is based on the share that you're purchasing. But at a 30% share with a 5% deposit, your monthly service charge would be £50. The monthly rent at the lower rate of 2.5% would be £926. The mortgage would be £1,032, giving you a total monthly cost of just over £2,000. We've then got Sycamore House. So as I said, we've got a range of 1-bedroom apartments in this block of flats and 2 bedrooms. The 1-bedroom start at 205,000 up to 210,000, and that, based on the 205,000 property value, would roughly set you back £770 a month. As you can see, the monthly service charge is slightly higher because it does have more services, and we'll cover that under the service charge as part of the presentation. The 2-bedroom apartments range from 255,000 to 260,000, and the monthly cost for a 2-bedroom apartment, based at the minimum assumptions, could potentially cost £932. So that's what just runs through the prices. As I said, all of this is going to be detailed on the website. There will be a breakdown of every individual plot in the price list, and that will be hopefully uploaded either this evening or by tomorrow morning. So I'm now going to hand over to Dave Willis from the Shared Ownership Shop to run through the application process. Dave, can you hear me? Because I can't see anything.
I can. Yes, thank you, Karen. Yeah. So I work for an organisation called the Shared Ownership Shop, and we're working alongside Thrive on this development. We're a specialist estate agent that only deals with shared ownership properties. Some of you on the call may have already completed the initial application form that Thrive have asked you to complete. If you've not done so already, you can do that by visiting the Brambles website, which is, we'll actually give you the address of that at the end of the presentation. As well as that application, we will also require some quite detailed information around your financial circumstances. And that's to allow us, Curran mentioned about the financial eligibility. We're required to complete an assessment that the government sets out that looks at your potential suitability for shared ownership and looks at your the maximum share that you may be able to buy. The form that we're going to send out, or the email that we're going to send out to all the inquiries that we've had, we'll send out tomorrow. And that will include a couple of things. It will include a price list, so a reminder of the prices that Curran has just gone through, a copy of the brochure if you've not seen that already, and this additional form that enables you also to record your plot preferences. We've had, I think, about 350 inquiries, just to give you a flavour for the level of interest in the development. So whilst we appreciate that people will have a particular plot that they are interested in, we would stress that it's important to try and not restrict your preferences too much. So you will, for example, be able to say that you're interested in any 2-bed or any 3-bed as an example. That information that we're requesting, the deadline for that to come back to us is the 11th of August. That will enable us to assess both your suitability for shared ownership and to see, based on the information that you provided, whether it's likely you would be able to obtain a mortgage. If that all looks okay, then again, it's a requirement of the government that you actually speak to an independent financial advisor. We're going to use, for this development, a company called Mortgage Light. They're based in Milton Keynes. We use them because they have lots and lots of experience of shared ownership and helping buyers obtain a mortgage based on shared ownership. It's important to stress that the products that are out there for available through your mainstream lenders, whilst they do all offer shared ownership products, those products can be slightly different to what we say is mainstream products. So Mortgage Light are there to assess your ability to actually obtain a mortgage and to look at the maximum share you can reasonably afford to buy. They will then confirm to us that, again, everything is okay. We then require certain bits of information from you, and I very much appreciate that this process is it's important to ensure that you have, and we have, and the mortgage lender has all the right information up front, because if we find later on down the process that things aren't right, it can be costly for everybody involved, really. If you suddenly find that actually you can't obtain a mortgage because the information that we had wasn't right. So we'll be asking you for some supporting documentation like proof of ID, proof of income, and proof of your deposit. Our role is then to pull all that information together, and we will submit it to Thrive so that they can actually go through all of the applications at the same time and allocate sort of properties based on their priority criteria. So their priority will look at if they've got more people for a particular property, then they will take into account things like local connection. So do you live locally to the scheme. They'll take into account the share that you can afford to buy, and they will take into account other sort of social aspects like the size of your family, and do you have people who live in the area who you provide support to, or they provide support to you. So the plan is that they will go through that process during the week commencing 4th to the 8th of September. So we're required to package all your information together and submit it to Thrive by the 1st of September. So the first priority is getting your information back to us by the 11th of August. We will then refer you to the independent financial advisor. If that's okay, we need to help you get all the other information together so that we can submit it to Thrive by the 1st of September to enable them to do their assessment. We will then, or Thrive will then, make offers to people based where possible on your priorities, and you will have a period of time in which to accept that offer. But we're also hoping at this stage that we may be able to give you access to the site, not to view your particular preferred plot, but to at least view one of the properties so that you can see the standard of the specification. You'll then be required to reserve the property or accept the offer and then reserve the property. That involves you signing off that you've read particular bits of information. Karen mentioned the key information documents that set out the sort of key basis on which you are buying the property. So you'll be required to confirm that you've read that, and you'll need to pay a £500 reservation fee. That's payable to Thrive. It's non-refundable in certain circumstances. So if we find that you told us information that suggested you would be able to raise a mortgage and then subsequently you couldn't, then you would lose that reservation fee. Likewise, if you decide simply to withdraw on no fault of Thrive Homes, then again you would not be refunded the reservation fee. But once we've taken the reservation, we would then issue what we call a memorandum of sale. We will give you some advice around choosing a solicitor or a conveyancer to act on your behalf. We will make some suggestions of some agents, some solicitors who have particular experience in the shared ownership product, but you are able to utilize your own. In the same way, I should stress that you are also able to choose your own independent financial advisor. You still have to talk to Mortgage Light, but after that initial discussion, if you want to obtain your mortgage through another route, you can. But again, we would stress you choosing either a broker or an independent financial advisor or a solicitor who has demonstrated to you that they really do understand the shared ownership product. Once we've taken the reservation fee and we've instructed the solicitors, part of our role at the shared ownership shop is to monitor sales progression through the legal process and your mortgage application, the valuation by the mortgage provider, to ensure that everything goes as smoothly as possible, so that when the properties are built and handed over, that you're in a position to be able to move in as soon as possible thereafter. That's the end of my little bit. I'm just going to a couple of things. One is we know that buying a home is really exciting and it's a bit scary as well. And our role is to make the process of your application journey to Thrive as smooth as it possibly can be. But I mentioned we've had lots and lots of inquiries, so it's going to be a really busy period for us over the next 4 to 5 weeks. So I'd ask you to try hard to avoid the temptation to keep contacting us. Rest assured, if we need anything from you, then we will be in touch to make sure that you hit that deadline. And on that note, I'll hand you back over to Karen.
Lovely. Thank you, Dave. And as we said, if anyone has got any questions, does want any more information on that, you can pop a question into the chat feature, and we'll respond to that in our FAQs. So just moving on to when can you expect to move in? So as mentioned, the Brambles is still, sorry, get my words tied. The Brambles is still currently under construction. So you begin the application and sales process from now, effectively, which will include a lot of reading and paperwork for signing, but unfortunately we can't avoid the boring bits. They are actually quite vital. And this can take between 8 to 12 weeks. So during this time, the developer will be completing the development and the homes, and we hope to take first handovers of plots from the contractor in January 2024, with the rest following over the following 4 to 6 week period. We will have your sale progressed up to a point, so as soon as the homes are built, you can complete your sale and move in from the beginning of the new year. We don't at the moment know which way we're going around in terms of plots, so we can't tell you at this stage whether it'll be plot 1, 2 or 3 coming over first, but we should have that information a bit closer to the time. So as Dave mentioned, there will be viewings of a show plot in September. This will be on a home that's the most advanced, to give you an idea of the high quality and specification that's used. And as and when the individual units are ready for viewing, we will arrange a visit for you to view your specific home. This will be a little bit later on in the year. Just to bear in mind, all visits to site must be accompanied by Thrive or their appointed agents for the shared ownership shop. You are welcome to drive around to see the progress, but please do not attempt to access site. We also just can't stress enough, all dates are estimated and subject to change. As you can see from the initial launch of this site, we have experienced delays. We do have Thrive Homes development team that are visiting site on a weekly basis, and they feed back to us, and what we'll be doing is making sure that we're keeping you up to date in the progress of the development, so you're aware of whether or not there are going to be any delays. But I think the main thing that we can do is keep you informed. So just moving on to service charges. So during the pricing and estimated cost section of the presentation, we mentioned a service charge as part of your monthly costs. This differs from houses to apartments, and that's based on the different services that are being provided. So all homes have to pay a service charge for the building's insurance whilst you are a shared owner, the estate maintenance, and that covers things like maintaining the trees, the lighting, the pond area, and also it covers a management fee. And then, as mentioned, there are additional services for the apartments, and that's because they do have communal areas, and that will cover things like communal services such as heating, cleaning and water, alarm and fire detection equipment maintenance, and things like maintenance of the bin stores and just additional items for the apartments. Please note that all costs are initially estimated on sale. So these are all estimated costs, and actuals will be calculated after the first year. So after you move in, Thrive Homes and their appointed consultants carry out stringent snagging prior to handovers, and you can be assured that homes will be finished to a high standard. Processes are in place on the rare occasion that some things may come up. They are brand new homes. They're not built by robots, you know, that they can't be exactly precise, so they will never be perfect. And so you do have a 1-year defect period, and that's from the date of build. So that's from the date that the contractor hands over to Thrive, not from the date that you complete your sale. So if anything was to come up in that 1 year, you can report it to Thrive Homes Customer Service Centre, and it will be passed to the contractor to rectify it, as long as it is classed as a defect for the property. Shared owners are also entitled up to £500 each year for repairs to your home, and that's part of the new shared ownership product. And those repairs are qualified by the government, needs to be qualified in terms of the government's criteria, and that information is included in your key information documents that are on the website. So you can read some more there about that. And all homes also come with a 10-year new build LABC warranty. So as a shared owner, you're free to decorate your home. However, we do advise to carry out decoration at the end of your defects period. So what that allows the property to do, any new home needs to settle. So you may see small cracks and things like that, but if you've already painted a wall, sometimes those sort of things can be hidden. So we normally ask that you don't carry out that decoration until after. Or if you do, you just need to be prepared for that if, say, something does happen, any contractor won't put your wallpaper back that you have specifically on that particular in that particular area. It will be put back to how the property was as brand new. As a shared owner, you do require permission for any significant changes to your home. Pets are generally allowed, and you must complete a pet permission form. So if you know that you're going to be moving in with a pet, just let the shared ownership shop know, and they'll provide you with one of those. And then post-completion requests will incur standard charges to cover administration costs as well. So what it means to be a shared owner. So Thrive Homes has an experienced home ownership team who will deal with any queries once you become a shared owner, and all inquiries can be reported via Thrive Homes' dedicated customer service centre. So things that you may inquire about after you move in and become a shared owner would be staircasing. So that's the process of buying more shares in your home. The new product allows you to buy 1% shares each year for the first 15 years. And that's something that's included in your key information documents to find out more about. Additional shares of 5% or more are based on the market value at the time of inquiry, and that's determined by a RICS valuer, and that is paid for by you as the owner-occupier. As I mentioned before, at the Brambles, you can staircase up to 100% of the property, and on the houses, the freehold will be transferred to you as the owner if you do staircase up to 100%. Another area that you'd probably that you could inquire about once you've moved in would be resale. So that's the process of selling your shared ownership home. You would sell at the property value at the time of the sale, so the time you've inquired, and again the value is determined by a RICS valuer. Thrive are given a 4 weeks period to nominate a buyer, and there is a 1% fee of the share that's charged if we do nominate a buyer for you. If Thrive can't find a purchaser for you, you can market the home on the open market with an external agent, and Thrive will just need to approve any potential buyer there. So now that has been quite a lot of information to digest, and as I mentioned before, there is a recording of the presentation that will be made available on the website, along with the price list and the key information documents that you are required to read. And as previously mentioned, the development is still under construction, but we do have a short video clip at its current stage to give you an idea of how it's progressing. I'm just going to pop that on here. Fingers crossed it plays. So as a reminder, again, just as you can see, the site is still pretty much a construction site. So please do not attempt to access site. Viewings are only allowed via pre-arranged appointment accompanied by Thrive or shared ownership shop. We have experienced in the past where the developer has stopped us from viewing when we want to view because people have attended site and tried to access without approval from us or pre-arranged appointments. So that's something just to bear in mind, because I know people can get excited, but as I say, you're free to sort of drive around just to see the progress, but please do not attempt to access site. So just a quick overview of what happens now. Now, I'm sure many of you have already completed the Thrive application form. For those of you who haven't, this can be completed at thebrambles.info. But within the next 24 hours, the shared ownership shop will forward a plot preference form for you to complete. If you have already completed that Thrive application form. If you haven't completed the Thrive application form, and you'll also receive the plot preference form. And then the shared ownership shop will get in touch to confirm the next steps. So as mentioned, that we are going to have a look at what questions there are in the chat feature. And this is where my technology skills are going to have to come into play, because I need to switch this bit off. Just bear with me a moment. So I'm just going to pass on to Annie now.
Yeah, sure. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, we can hear you fine.
Okay, fine. Yeah, so there have been a few questions that have come in on the chat section. And as Karen has mentioned earlier, we will address all the questions that people are asking in our FAQ document that we will be publishing this week. So in case we don't cover your question now, not to worry, we will answer your question for sure. But I will just pick out 2 or 3 questions that have been asked this evening at random. So I'll start with, can the freehold be transferred to the buyer if you're able to staircase or buy 100%? If you're purchasing a house, then yes, once you staircase to 100% ownership, the freehold will be transferred to you. But if you are purchasing an apartment, you will remain as a leaseholder, although your shared ownership agreements will fall away. So for example, you'd be able to sublet and things like that, but you wouldn't be able to obtain the freehold because it is a shared building as such. And then another question that has come in is whether there will be a second phase for this development. There are no plans to build a second phase, so get these properties whilst they're hot, I would say. It is just this first phase of 31 units. And yes, like I say, there's no further plans to build more. And then somebody else has asked, I believe Karen's covered this off in the presentation, but someone's asked when the properties will be available. And the first build completions are anticipated to take place from January 2024 and onwards. Yeah. Like I say, any other questions that have been asked, because I believe quite a few have started rolling in, we will add those to our frequently asked questions document, so your queries will be addressed.